I asked for people to give me topics, suggestions, things they want me to talk about. I get some great ones. One of the ones that it's been coming for a while, and it's what are the things that bug me? I'm not sure why. I have a reputation for being kind of the nice guy, or the positive one, or the optimistic one, or whatever it happens to, whatever the label is. Um, but what's curious is that's not how I feel. If that makes any sense, I don't feel like the positive one, the optimistic one. Most of the time, I feel like the pessimistic one. And if you listen to other people, they'll say I'm one of those comics complainers. I don't think I'm that either. But what are the things that bug me about comics? Like top five things that bug me personally about comics. Well, let me lay them out for you, and we'll see if they bug you too. Hey, over there. Yeah, I didn't say that right. Hey, everybody, this is Perch. It's a tongue got all twisted up. Um, First off, I want to say thank you. A lot of people have subscribed recently, so the numbers have pushed up, and I'm really thankful for everybody who's done that. Thanks for being here. It's really cool to have you here, and I hope you send in things you'd like me to talk about, things that you're curious about. If I can answer those questions, I'll do my best. I try and get things right. I feel like I generally do. Other than my pronunciation for names is absolutely terrible. So if you're new, hey, buckle up. You got that to look forward to. But generally, if I do get something wrong, I try and go back and correct it and explain where I went wrong or where the thinking was. I don't want to mislead anyone, so if ever some information gets out there it's false, I try and clean it up as quick as I can. The question that I got was five things that bug me, five things that are frustrating about comics, and it's here's my list. We'll see what gets to you. So number one, probably the big number one. The rest are more pet peeves, but this one really bugs me, and it's simply that there's not enough money in comics. When you look at kind of it recently on Twitter, people were sharing their page rates and what they were making, and it's pathetically low, and it should not be that small for something that is labor intensive, particularly for art. And it's the number should be 2 to 3 times that for a healthy comics industry. I think for the very small indies, having $150, $200 per page rate might be acceptable if you're really in the indie world and you're keeping a lot of the rights for yourself. But most of the indies are below that. The interesting thing about the people who are sharing their page rates is that, from what I've seen, and I've had some people show me some contracts and had, I even asked for advice on looking over things. The rates that were being posted were very generous, meaning people were exaggerating a little bit on what they were making. Uh, but the rates are too small. I will say, hands down, I think if you're working for Marvel and you're producing kind of that book at that tier and everything, I don't think there should be a page under $1,000. Period. And that's not where page rates are at, or anywhere close to it for people. So I think there's not enough money in comics now. By the way, lots of people can chime in here and say I'm living in a fantasy land. If the rates are that high, they'd have to charge a lot more, and it's not a business structure. I know all that. I know that's true. I'm just saying that where's the arc to get into that level for art, for a major kind of deliverable that is what it should be. I will tell you that if you go to kind of work in different industries, that the money that comics makes is pathetically low compared to other places. That's just the thing that bugs me the most. There's not enough cash, and so a lot of people who are frustrated, like I hate Marvel or I hate these creators and stuff. You might not like to, you might not agree that hey, we should pay the creators more, but we should. We should pay the creators much, much more, and I think if we did, that would, by the way, solve a lot of the problems that a lot of people have. I think people would take everything a lot more seriously if it was done that way. But anyway, that's the thing that bugs me probably the most in a big level. The second, which is coming in as a very close second, is I don't want to use the word tribalism because that's overused these days, but it's definitely this idea that people can't listen to other people. I mean, I get plenty of DMs, I would say, from people saying, "Hey, did you realize that this guy you followed is Comicsgate? Did you realize that this person you follow is a anti-gay person?" And I don't like those reminders. I don't want them. And I know people have gotten about me. There's some creators who follow me. Thank you. And I know that they get those. Hey, did you realize that that Perch guy is is a bigot or a misogynist or whatever else? And it's nasty. It's nasty little like kind of tattletale behavior, and it doesn't help anything. And I think the problem I don't like about it is whenever somebody says that to me, my first reaction is, do you think I am so stupid that I can't tell for myself when somebody's a terrible flaming racist or awful person? I got it. I can tell myself. Every now and then I'll follow somebody for whatever reason, or maybe somebody I was following kind of flips the bit and goes crazy, and then I don't see it for a while, and then eventually I go, oh, holy cow, what happened to this person? And I can dig back and like, wow, this person's been crazy for a while, and then I'll go back and I'll address that. But I mean, this like tattletale behavior, nobody needs that. Nobody wants it, or I don't want it anyway. Some people do want it, but I mean, it's gross, and it really is insulting to me when people do it. It definitely feels like like a snitch type behavior. But that's what's taking a lot of fun, honestly, out of social media and following people is that stuff. It's not necessary, not at all. A third thing that bugs me about comics, I hate the trends where an artist will be popular or a certain art style will be popular, and then we'll get 20% knockoffs of that art style. I always think it cheapens everything. So whenever I see something I really like, and then I see a bunch of people kind of mimicking that art, it bugs me to no end. That's killed many a comic for me. And I know a lot of people have this kind of nostalgic feeling about the 90s, but one of the things I hated most about the 90s was how there was this like glut of art that was just all the same. And it's really, to me, no different than the current, what they call the Cal art style of this kind of bean head with weird mouth. I think that stuff, it just, I hate that the sameness. I would always take over a million years a diverse set of artistic styles on a comic line, even if I don't like half those styles. I like seeing the difference. I really, really do. The fourth thing that I think is bad about comics that really bugs me is that we live in a world now where writers and editors, or the lines they're curating, nobody wants to take chances anymore because they don't know if they're going to be on the book long term. So the stories come off as what I would call status quo stories. So the goal is, don't change anything. Just keep it moving along with the same story, same plot, same, don't really make any big changes. You gotta, you can't really make any big movements with characters. And so it makes the stories all seem kind of pointless. They're all just spinning wheel stories. And I think comics were at their best when they were doing bold, crazy things, even when it wrote themselves into a corner. In the weirdest way, I would take the Chuck Austen, Angel Blood Now Heals People, that whole era, Nightcrawlers, Drago, all that kind of stuff, Page and Angel being a relationship. I mean, they were not good stories, don't get me wrong. But I would take that over a lot of today's kind of, hey, here's the 6-issue arc where nothing happens because, we don't want to, we don't know if we're going to be the creative team on this title in 6 months. So we can't really make any big changes, and we don't really want to disrupt anything. So here's a story about like character goes and there's like some kind of trafficking ring, but it's not clear what, and there's some kind of generic kind of Hydra AIM people, and our hero gets in there, and there's a villain that nobody's ever heard of and nobody really cares about, and kind of goes away at the end, and bleh. I'd rather take Chuck Austen's crap stories than that stuff. People should be trying to go somewhere with a comic, even if where they go isn't in a good direction or is bad for it. I think it's better than doing nothing. Otherwise, you're taking up space. I think that stuff is much, much worse for me anyway. So I want comics to at least make the attempt, even if that attempt is ultimately bad. So that's number 4. Number 5 is kind of this is a weirder one, and that is, I think that, how do I want to describe this? I've met a lot of really nice people in comics, people who I think are, solid people, friendly to have conversations with, and I think that there's a desire to do more in comics that never really goes anywhere. And what I mean by that is we at times have this world where, we want to strike out and try that, experimental new comic, or we want to do this thing with digital, or we want to try this marketing approach, or we want to, we want to do this amazing thing with a character, but we never quite get to it. And I think the thing is, I'm struggling with how to describe this. Really, comics has a lot of just. It's kind of, maybe it's a little bit like the number four thing I said. It's a lot of like holding pattern stuff. We have great ideas. People in this industry, whether you're a retailer, distributor, publisher, creator, fan, whatever, there's no shortage of great ideas, but they don't go anywhere. Very few of them see the light of day. So I guess my biggest frustration in comics, or not biggest, one of the biggest. You know what I'm saying? I'm describing this very poorly. Is that we, you know, where do those ideas go? Like, when do we actually get to kind of the exciting stuff? We've got all this technology, we've got all this momentum, we've got this attention, all these great things where comics are concerned, but yet it still feels like, we're waiting for the moment when the great ideas can happen. And unfortunately, what dismays me, or it kind of depresses me a little bit, is it feels like, if anything, we're further away from those great ideas coming to light than ever. Because right now you have to conform to a certain tribe or ideology, right or left, whatever side you're on, in order to even have the conversation. So the pool of people who are even trying to get something done, who are even, making, able to experiment and able to get talent, is small. There's a bunch of really smart people in this business that half of the comic industry won't talk to. They just won't even listen or give them the time of day, because of, they voted for Trump or they didn't like Trump, one or the other. We're cutting people off from even, getting and giving ideas. This stuff's not even making it past the starting line. And it's easy to chalk that all up to politics and other things, but I don't think that's a fair assessment either. I don't think it's this isn't all about politics. It's that, more and more people's clicks are preventing them from even starting to work or do things with each other. That's the part that makes me crazy. People's networks that are born more than anything out of jealousy than politics. A lot of the time when you see people who refuse to work together, see people who are kind of lining up against each other, it's not who they voted for. It's that they're jealous of maybe success that one person has got that the other doesn't have. That's the stuff. So all these ideas are dying on the vine. I was down. I remember very vividly being down in San Diego Comic Con, and Matt Fraction said on a panel that, hey, when are we going to get to the great ideas? He had some great ideas. He tossed them out into this room. And I remember thinking, oh, those are some crazy ideas. I wonder if any of those will happen. None of them happened. None. And why not? Like, why wasn't anything tried? That's the part that I have this grasping feeling that we're just, we're just holding position. Kind of like my comment about the stories in comics. We're just kind of killing time, waiting for whatever global warming to take out the planet, or not. I don't know. I just, when are we going to do stuff? I'm anxious to do stuff. Anyway, those are the 5 things that bug me about comics. People asked, there you go. Maybe food for thought. What are the things that bug you about comics? And let me know in the comments below. Maybe we can get into more of these topics. Maybe I'll figure out a way to actually describe this. Maybe I'll buy some ice cream. Many things could happen. Hey, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch. Most importantly, hey, thanks for listening.